Hi YouTube, Darth here. If you've been playing a lot of Battlefield Hardline in the last week like I have, then I'm pretty sure you'll have some opinions about the weapon balance in the game. It turns out that Visceral has also been doing the same. Lead developer Dirty Death Dog has posted his opinion, and Visceral has got a few changes coming down the line for the weapons in Battlefield Hardline. Posting in the official Battlefield forums, Triple D was openly soliciting constructive feedback on these changes, so be sure to follow the link down below after the end of this video. So let's go over the changes they're talking about. First up is a pretty significant nerf to the K10, which is currently the fastest killer in the game at 100 milliseconds flat to kill an enemy. Presently its max damage is 34, and Visceral has stated that they're looking to reduce that to 33. Now 1 damage might not sound like a whole lot, but that's an additional 50 milliseconds of added time onto the K10's time to kill. This brings the weapon more in line with other PDWs, and it now shares a time to kill with the MPX. With the proposed change, the fastest time to kill automatic would be the M5K at 142 milliseconds. Now I don't know if you spend any time with the K10, and I did so this evening for the purposes of recording footage for this video. You're literally watching my first round with this little pocket death machine, and I have to say that the change is almost certainly necessary. The fast killing nature of this weapon means that whomever you point it at has literally no time to react. They're usually dead before the bullets even start registering on their screen because of the delay required to get them that information. Ultimately, this K10 change brings parity between the time to kill of the law enforcement and criminal weapons, and slightly eases the likelihood of a one-frame death from the weapon. But we're going to need a lot more changes to completely ease up on the one-frame deaths in Battlefield Hardline. The K10 wasn't the only PDW to see some changes, as the FMG9 and M45 saw some boosts to make them a little bit better options. First, the FMG9 is having its maximum damage increased to 25 from 23, and the fall-off will start at a further range. Visceral did not give specific numbers on how far that range fall-off would be. Second, the M45 is also having its maximum range increased. And though this was mentioned in the same sentence as increasing the damage to 25, the M45 already does 34 damage per shot, so I have to imagine that it will be keeping that damage value but having a slightly longer range. I don't know about you, but I've literally never seen anybody using these two weapons, let alone been killed by one, so I think the change will at least put them into contention. Next up, the Saiga 308 and the PTR 91 DMRs are having their recoil reduced. Nothing was mentioned specifically in the wording from Visceral, but Dirty Death Dog did state that these weapons would be brought more in line with Cop Faction DMRs. Looking at the stats of these sets of weapons, this most likely means that the vertical recoil will be reduced, as both the SOCOM 16 and SR25 ECC have an upwards recoil of 0.5, while the criminal weapons have 0.7 and 0.6 degrees per shot of upwards recoil. I honestly can't say one way or another if this is a good change or not, as I have barely scratched the professional class, and I'd love to hear your opinions below. Following up on the recoil reduction, 2 Enforcer battle rifles are seeing a similar buff. The HCAR and the HK51 are also receiving a recoil reduction to bring them more in line with their counterparts. Again, looking up the stats for these weapons, it looks like they will be in vertical recoil, as the HCAR has an upwards recoil of 1.5, the HK51 has an upwards recoil of 1.25, and their counterparts in the SA58 and SCAR-H have just a flat 1 degree. This seems like a pretty fair change to both these weapons, as both the HCAR and HK51 are slower killers than the guns that have better recoil. But those aren't the only changes the battle rifles are seeing, as their minimum damage across all weapons is being increased to 25. This means that the battle rifles will always be a 4-shot kill at every range. This is a pretty nice change that should firmly plant the battle rifles as being the automatics of choice beyond medium range. There was some odd middle ground where the extremely exceptional damage of the M416 and M16A3 made them better killers out to an exceptionally far-flung range. With the upgrade to 4-shot kills, the battle rifles have firmly planted their flag as the long-range automatic. If you've been playing with Sabotage recently, it's possible you have picked up the 410 Jury, the assignment unlocked sidearm for the engineer. If so, you might like to hear that the weapon is going to receive a slight damage buff, and that Visceral is increasing the damage per pellet to become more effective. If you're scratching your head wondering why a revolver is firing pellets, it's because the 410 Jury fires 410 shotgun shells. Again, no specifics here from Visceral, but with shotgun shells, because the engine fires multiple pellets per shell, this is most likely a 1 damage per pellet increase. Remember, no specifics here, so this is speculation based on past changes and what's most likely. Finally, the AKM did not escape the list of changes and will be receiving a 1 damage reduction in the minimum damage. This changes the AKM from a 4-shot kill at maximum range to a 5-shot kill. This makes sense in conjunction with the battle rifle changes from earlier. Now, assault rifles are the 5-shot plus killers at range, and the battle rifles are the 4-shot killers. Though how DMRs and bolt-action rifles figure into this, only the Battlefield players will be able to decide on the wide-open maps like Riptide. But that's it for this round of changes. As I said earlier, Dirty Death Dog is actively seeking feedback in the official Battlefield forum, so be sure to check out the link in the description. Personally, I'd like to have a community test environment like in Battlefield 4 where we could test out these changes rather than giving them a blessing or cursing sight unseen. I'm hoping that a test environment is in the product roadmap for Hardline because I feel like it's been very successful in Battlefield 4, and I can guarantee you that I'd definitely buy Premium just to get my hands on changes before they went live. As for when these changes might land, we've currently no indication, but from general traffic it sounds like Visceral is ready to make changes very soon. We got a fast patch in the beta with weapon balance changes, but I believe that was only on the PC. Likely we wouldn't see an actual client change with these weapons until said patch could go through console certification, which would likely take a few weeks. If they come sooner, great, but I'm not going to hold my breath. That's it for this video on the upcoming weapon changes. Be sure to let me know in the comments below how you feel about these weapon changes, and if you feel strongly enough, again, check out the forum link. If you're new around here, please take a moment to check out my channel and please consider subscribing. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, YouTube.